This time we'll learn about Superimpose module. It's a 3D sub-module here in Planmeca Romexis where we can compare two 3D volumes by fitting them together so that we can analyze and measure changes, for example, after a surgery. For this, we need to have two 3D volumes. They don't need to be of the same size. They don't need to have the same resolution, as long as they have some common anatomy based on which the superimposition can be done. Let's start by opening the before volume. So it gets opened here in Explorer, and then in order to go to Superimpose, let's click on that name here. I have a previous superimposition here done, but I can remove it by selecting it here in the object browser and using the trash can icon. And now I can add the other volume using this icon here. Romexis asks me if I want to start the superimposition by fitting those volumes manually on top of each other, or if I would like to use the fitting tool. We can anyway adjust the fitting manually afterwards, so let's start with the fitting tool. In this dialog that gets opened, we have now the before volume here on the right side, and to the left we're going to bring the after volume. So we'll click on this select and we'll choose the right volume, and let's click on OK. So now we can see the volume that was taken at a later time here on the left side. And in order to start the fitting of these two volumes, we'll need to select three common points on these volume surfaces, and we'll need to naturally select them on bone surface that has not changed during the surgery. When needed, we could adjust the rendering threshold for both volumes using these sliders here, but let's be careful so that we're not losing the actual bone surface based on which we're going to select the points. We can select the points by clicking with our left mouse button. So first we'll select a point here on the after volume, and then the same in this before volume. We can manipulate the volumes by dragging with our right mouse button down, and then we can move on and select another point with the left mouse button. Finally, let's select a third point. If you would need to reposition the points, we could use this arrow here in order to go back and remove the points and to reposition them. After selecting those 3 points, let's click on Done, and let's wait for the automatic algorithm to finish. Now we can see here in Superimpose module how on top of the gray before volume we have now the brownish after volume fitted. We can also now see the superimposition here in the object browser, where we could hide and show it, or we could remove it like I was doing in the beginning. So removing this fitting doesn't delete the other volume. They will both stay among the volumes of the patient, but we will just remove this fitting done. Using this drop down here in object browser, we could change the coloring of the superimposed volume. And the other changes that we can do are that we could adjust the threshold of this superimposed volume so that we could better see just the bony structures, for example. Or then we could also change the transparency of this superimposed volume with this other slider here. And now, like said, we could still adjust the superimposition by moving this second volume here on top of the first one. So for that we would activate this icon here in the toolbar, and now on any of these slice views we could grab with our left mouse button the other volume and move that to another position. So with the left mouse button we could move that, and with the right we could rotate the other volume. So this way we could browse through any of these slice tags, and we could look for the common anatomies that should be superimposed. So remember to look for those anatomies that have not changed during the surgery, for example. When we have finished adjusting the superimposition, there's also another mode for us for viewing these superimposed volumes. So here, like we can see them on top of each other, superimposed. But if we go here in the toolbar to this other view, we can see the volumes next to each other. So here, firstly, we only have the axial slices visible, but we could also activate here the sagittal and coronal views as well. And based on the superimposition that we did in the other view, the slice views of these two volumes are synchronized. So when we are browsing through the stack, we can see the same frame of both volumes. So here we would have our before volume and here the after volume. And naturally, we could browse through any of these sagittal, coronal or axial stacks. Now, naturally, we could use the measurement tools or annotation tools in order to track the changes, or we could save 3D views or take 2D snapshots. All of the measurements, annotation and saved 3D views are related to this specific fitting only. So if we would remove the fitting using the object browser, also those measurements and annotations would be lost.